just like there's someone who, who has an issue emotionally or whatever to lean into that. And Jenny and I, in that course of discovering the power and strength of what it has to offer, have benefited both in our marriage as well as in our own personal lives from intensives and ongoing counseling and biblically based, counseling with psychology involved. And I guess for me, it's a little newer, the thought and the paradigm of children and counseling. And I can honestly say, I wish, and I'm sure Jenny would echo, when my parents went through a divorce throughout my high school, my mom didn't leave till I was a senior, but she functionally, emotionally left as a freshman. I didn't really have her there as a mom. And I would have said throughout my 20s, that didn't affect me. If you said, how'd that affect you? I would have got like that didn't affect me. And I hit a massive wall at 39. And it turns out it did affect me.
Yes.
And I've been unpacking for the last 2 years, really, some of those things. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have. And my parents didn't have the tools to even know that, nor were we in a church culture where that was really something that was done. So I guess my question to you is, outside of the trauma and the enormous things, the sexual assaults and those sorts of things, where it's like now it's obvious to all of us, how can a parent know when and when it's appropriate to seek counseling for their kids outside of those colossal earthquake type things?
Yes. I love that you asked that question.
Great question.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so I have a book called Raising Worry-Free Girls that I wrote right before the, you are.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
was
going to
ask you, which of your
So
7
kind.
books would be the best for what you just mentioned, the stages? Because I'm sure someone's listening going, oh, dang, I want to know more about the stages. Is it the Kids on Track one?
Well, Raising Girls is really where the stages originated for girls, and Wild Things is David's book for boys.
So
Now,
Wild Things
I wrote
and Raising Girls.
Wild Things and Raising Girls. And
I
I
don't
still
even have
think the
that on my
stages are
list.
helpful.
Because
Well, let me tell you, because I wrote Raising Girls back when MySpace was a thing. So it's a little old.
MySpace.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
launched our church in the era of MySpace, 2007. So we were all about that. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
All about that.
Yes, MySpace. So, yeah, so that would be where the stages are. But Are My Kids on Track is the emotional and social and spiritual stages we feel like kids need to reach. So it would be, I hope it's helpful. But
Yes.
but the Raising Worry-Free Girls, and then I have now written 2 books, one for elementary age girls and one for teenage girls about anxiety, because at this point, we're looking at 1 in 3 kids. Girls are twice as likely to deal with it as boys. And Leva, I think to your point, there's so much that we want to do from a faith foundation to help kids have this bedrock when they do struggle emotionally. And I think we've shifted to being so psychology oriented in some ways that we're missing that piece of it. And the two want to work. We want the two to work in tandem for ourselves and for kids. But there are also a lot of tools. And I wrote those books kind of like our first 3 months of counseling to say, okay, if you can't get there, if you don't want to get there yet, here are things we want you to try. And if you do this for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and it feels like the needle doesn't move, then at that point, reach out to somebody. David has a book called Raising Emotionally Strong Boys that I would recommend the same thing. It's kind of the first wheels on the ground. These are some things to do. But I will also say I had this conversation with a mom. I loved what she said about counseling to her child, who said, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. And this mom said, you're right. There is nothing in the world wrong with you. But here's the deal. As parents, our job is to build your team. And so I have people on your medical team that are your doctors that you check in with periodically. We have people on your academic team that are your teachers. And obviously, I care about your heart. And so we're going to have people on your emotional team. And you're not going to go to Daystar every single week for your life, but we're going to develop a relationship that then this is a person that's in our back pocket. Then when we need it, we call them. And you go see them a couple of times a year just to touch base and maintain the relationship. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow, that's brilliant.
I
Such a good way to
know.
put that.
Yes, I thought so too. Just to have, again, and we've had so many kids over the years that's happened where we have this relationship because they've come in a few times and have gotten to know each other. And then when a parent's diagnosed with cancer or something does come up, it's so easy to call and get back in because they already are familiar with it and don't feel as nervous that they can get right to it.